So this farming activity is appropriate for kids all ages from age 4 to 104. That's right, because if you eat sprouts every day, you just might live that long. So I've got here a bag of some sprout seeds. This is a nice mix of alfalfa, clover, radish, lentil, and mung beans. So I'm gonna start out with a quart-sized mason jar. And I'm going to put about 2.5 tablespoons in my jar. Now, the smaller the seeds, the less you need. If I were to just be sprouting beans, like mung beans or lentils, or especially larger beans like chickpeas, then I would definitely need more. I would probably do about 1/4 cup or 1/3 cup at a time. So there we go. I've got my quart-sized mason jar, a 32-ounce jar. If you don't have a mason jar, you can use another jar, like an empty pasta sauce jar or something like that. As you can see, there's only a small amount of seeds in the bottom of the jar, but just wait to see what happens in 5 days from now when this jar is packed out with fresh sprouts. So the next piece of equipment you'll need is a lid. And if you start searching on the internet, you'll see there's many different types of sprouting lids. What's most important is that it has holes in it so that it lets air in, but lets water out. If you don't have sprouting lids, you can always use something like cheesecloth or some type of mesh cloth that you can cut a piece and stretch it over the top and secure it with a rubber band, and that will work as well. So I'm gonna put my lid on. So the first step is to soak your seeds for 6 to 8 hours. Soaking them overnight is a great time to do that. So these seeds will soak up that water, and that will help them start to germinate, start to come to life, and start growing. So that's all I have to do for day 1. And now I'm going to put it on the counter and let these seeds soak and hydrate for 8 hours. So now that's all set, I'll leave it there until the morning. So the one thing I want to share with you now is if you're looking to buy some of your own sprouting seeds, you want to make sure you get them from a reputable source that is selling them specifically as sprouting seeds. Because if they're being sold as sprouting seeds, that means that they've been carefully tested to make sure that they have no harmful pathogens or bacteria, which is very important when you're growing and eating sprouts because you're eating the entire plant, the seed, the roots, everything, and you're eating it raw. Some good reputable sources that I recommend are sources like Mum's Sprouting Seeds. Their website is sprouting.com, or True Leaf Market, or johnnyseeds.com, or sproutman.com. Those are all great sources for sprouting seeds. And with that said, I'm gonna sign off, and I'll see you in the morning when I do step number 2. So here we are, first thing in the morning, step 2. These have been soaking all night, so now we're just gonna drain them and rinse them. So I put in a little fresh water, and now I'm just gonna give it a swirl and drain it out. Give it a gentle shake. Try to get as much of that water out as possible. As you can see, all those seeds are kind of on the lid there, which will prevent enough air from getting in there. So I'm gonna try to shake those seeds back on the jar and try to spread the seeds around the jar like this. Some of them will stick to the jar. The more you can spread out the seeds, the better, so that they all have more airflow, which will minimize the risk that it grows mold. Okay, now I'm gonna need to get a bowl. So now I've got my jar tilted upside down in the bowl, so any excess water can drain out while also allowing airflow so that air can get into the jar. And that's all we have to do for step 2. And then later at the end of the day today, I will rinse them again. And this is what we'll do for the next 5 days or so, is rinse them every morning and every night and watch them grow. All right, so it's 7 o'clock in the evening and I just got home, and these definitely need their second rinse of the day. So I'll rinse my bowl. Some seeds are already starting to sprout a little bit. So I might check those again later tonight before going to bed, just to make sure they're still nice and moist. But most likely they'll be fine until the morning when I get up and rinse them again. The sprouts. Ooh, they're starting to grow. You can see those white roots. Okay, they're really getting going now. Let's see how much more space are taking up in the jar as they grow. So as you can see, these sprouts are growing and really starting to fill up the jar. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna swap out my lid. So you'll see I have this set of 3 lids, and the yellow one that I've been using has the smallest holes. And that was important to start with because a lot of those seeds were very small and they would have fallen through the other ones when I was rinsing them. But now that they've grown bigger and they won't fall through, I'm gonna switch to the green lid with the medium-sized holes because that will allow more airflow to come in. And it will also allow some of the seed hulls, the outer skins of the seeds that separate, to rinse out. So these lids that I have are made by a brand called Sprout Ease, and I've ordered them online. And there's a lot of other varieties of lids online that don't have the different size mesh, and that's okay. It's not essential. These are just the ones I have, so I make use of that feature. But if you just have a lid that has one size mesh or a cheesecloth that you use the whole time, that's fine. So it's the evening on day 3. We're about to eat a beautiful dinner. And check out this jar of sprouts. It is already packed full of fresh sprouts that we'll probably start eating off of this. Oop, they're falling out of the top. We'll probably already start eating out of this tonight. So I'm gonna rinse it again, and we'll still let these keep growing for the next couple of days. They'll get even bigger. We'll eat out of the jar, it'll make some more space, and then probably in another 1 to 2 days, we'll seal it up and put it in the fridge. So it's day 6 since we started these sprouts, and they are definitely finished. Now, as you saw, we already started eating them on day 3, but we let them grow as we were eating them, which really gave us the greatest yield possible. So at this point, either I could just put a sealed lid on them and put them in the fridge, or in this case, I will transfer them into a clean bowl to store them in the fridge, just so I can give you a good view of what they look like right now. And of course, now would be a great time to start growing a fresh jar of sprouts. And if you really start eating a lot of them, of course, you could do it even sooner. If you had a couple jars, 2 or 3 jars, maybe every 2 or 3 days, you could be starting a jar so that you have a continual supply of sprouts to eat every day. I hope you found that helpful, and please let me know if you start growing sprouts and how it goes. Peace and plants, friends.